Test, 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 test.
Testing.
Mm-hmm.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
6 of you. I'm rebooting them. Test, test. Initializing. Test, test, test. Test. Test, test, test.
Test, test, test. Is that one good? That one's good?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah? Okay. Okay.
Testing 1, 2,
Oh.
3.
Test, test.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear mine? Okay.
Test, test.
Something with the volume control.
Test, test, test. Hello, hello.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's on.
Testing. Yep.
Bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for giving us this time to come together to work on the problems of difficulties, the issues, what confronts Glen of Chisholm on a daily basis. Thank you, Lord, for giving us patience, guidance, self-restraint. Lord, protect us, guide us in what we do today. Also, look over us as we continue to try to advance the city in the way that all of our citizens would want us to. In Christ's name, amen.
All right, guys. As I say in every city council meeting, rules of decorum are in effect. I don't think I need to explain it to everybody. It's act like an adult and treat each other with respect. I know sometimes that can be hard, but I have confidence you can all do that. So, all right. Tonight is kind of a special night. I had somebody call me about, could we have a presentation in our city council meeting through the American Legion for two very, very important local residents? And I'm like, well, yeah. So I will call up members of the American Legion to do their part on this. Lorna and whoever else you may have that's coming up.
to work like this. Can everybody hear me okay? And sorry, my back is to you. But I'd like to introduce our post commander. This is Commander Casey Ashmore. He has asked me and to talk about our Great American Award winners this year because I know them very well, and I can speak from the heart, and I can speak about what your work to our community has meant for our American Legion and for Rockwell County and Chisholm. And I will refer to Chisholm the whole time. You can just rest assured. So shall I just go ahead and go?
Yes, please.
So every year we give out a Great American Award, and that person or people exemplifies what it means to be a true American and support to their community. One of the pillars of the American Legion is Americanism, and we look for folks such as the Lovels, Mindy and Gary Lovell, that have exemplified and have worked their whole lives to be better Americans and to support our veterans in our country. So the Lovels have deep roots back to this Rockwell County area. Their first farm was established, the farm where they now live was established in the 1860s, and it's only grown and flourished from there. When I first, 205 was a dirt road, I believe, when their ancestors first started to work the fields. So now 205 has come a long way from them and needs to come a lot further. But Gary and Mindy have a long, long history of public service, and they are really what I think all of us need to strive to do. Both are members of the Sons of the American Revolution and the Daughters of the American Revolution. And I personally met Mindy through her work with the Rockwell chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. If you look outside, we have a Veterans Memorial. That was because of Mindy and Gary Lovell. It's the only memorial like that in Rockwell County. And it's got bricks inlaid of their veterans that have served from all the way back to the War of 1812. And that's a segue to another thing that this particularly Gary has done with his family is the Chisholm Cemetery. It's a private cemetery, but if you go there are how many, Gary? 60 veterans? 62 veterans that are memorialized there. And that, again, is something that's unique to Rockwell County. And Gary has been the president of that cemetery and has been out toiling there for his whole life, I'm pretty sure, but you've been the president since, 1984, I think. One thing I want to say, again, about Mindy is really funny because every year she comes here and she gives us the presentation about how important the Declaration of Independence is. And that is such a good lesson for all of us to learn, even at this age, and to be reminded every single September about the Declaration of Independence is our Miss Mindy that does that. So one thing I also need to backtrack, I'm trying not to use my notes too much, is Gary has been a member of our McLennan-Chisholm City Council for 4 years. And he also, probably to his pride, as he's a retired fireman, was one of the founding members of the MC Volunteer Fire Department. So again, our history with McLennan-Chisholm runs true and deep here. So thank you so much. So the last thing I want to talk about probably is the pride and joy of the Lovels, and that's what's identified here in the second and third row. Your family is here, and you have a wonderful son and daughter-in-law, and you have a wonderful daughter and son-in-law and many grandchildren that are here. And their son, Jess, is a Marine and a member of our post. He's a local veteran. And one thing that you want to also is really interesting for our post members is their granddaughter, Avery, received one of her scholarships, and their grandson was one of our Bay State delegates. So there's a lot of history between the Lovels and the American Legion. So without further ado, we'd like to present you, if you could please come forward, with our Great American Award plaque. Mindy, you need to get up too. Mindy's always behind the scenes, but she's really out in the forefront. Yeah, we'll get we're going to get a picture. Let's come back back here. We'll get a picture. Motor on up. We'll get another one. And then you need to stay here one more second, okay? Because Mayor Schwartz has another speech. Look at you, look at you.
You know, I like to hear that fact that we have more of my brother Jarvis joining the American Legion. We are taking over the world.
In your own mind.
One guy at a time. All right. First off, so I don't drop these, each one of you chime on and come from Senator Hall. And then I want to read this. This is from Senator Hall. Okay? In the name and by the authority of the Senate of the State of Texas, extending the most sincere congratulations, I proudly present the certificate to Gary and Mindy Lovell from the American Legion Post American Legion Terry Fisher Post 117 2023 Great American Award, dated 25 July 2020. Folks, I'm going to tell you a little something about both of these individuals. They don't do what they do for the recognition from everybody. They do it out of the love of their hearts. When I first got elected as mayor, I was scared out of my wits. One, I didn't think I'd win. And then I win and I'm like, ooh, I don't know a thing about city council, let alone being mayor. And then he's like, you'll be fine. You know, they were very encouraging, very positive. The fact that we have such a nice Veterans Memorial and monument outside speaks volumes. My dad's name's out there in the bricks. You know, Gary's name is on the plaque for this building. Everybody remembers the Clement Chisholm when they were itty bitty in the, as some people refer to it, the little red schoolhouse building at the city hall, to what we have today, which is much better accommodation for the size city. And these folks had a hand in it. They're actively engaged in the community. I currently work in Sunnyvale, and I have people coming to me all the time asking if I have seen them lately. Because they've known for years, and they're always asking, what are they doing? I haven't talked to them in a while. Have you seen them? And I'm like, well, last time I checked, they were on their worldly travels and enjoying themselves. So they are very humble, but they're very, very committed. And that's something we can speak all day. Because it's hard to find somebody who's that. Everybody's busy with everything. These folks that take the time to do that. I will make one little small joke because I do this every time. I love this guy with all my heart. You know, and that old joke is we all give each other a hard time in the various branches of service. I'm a little tired. I love that.
Till you're on channel 16.
Yes, ma'am. You're more than that. Absolutely. Folks, these are the fun things. When we do stuff like this is what it's all about. You know, we get to do something really fun like that. Well, I think somewhere in the last 20 years they brought them in. I'm not sure. Actually, the Coast Guard is the Space Force. I I did see a picture the other day of them in one of their little boats, and it said, "We're going on deployment, we'll see you tomorrow." Yes, ma'am. All right, folks, we're gonna leave this on. Next thing is citizens' comments. David, you're the only one that is signed up for citizens' comments, so if you'd like to come up there, I know you know the drill.
Yeah, I usually forget it. I assume there's a public hearing today too, right?
Sir?
Is there a public hearing today?
There's two of
Two,
them, yes.
yeah. So mine's not on that topic. My name is David Black. I'm at 1419 Sienna Lane. It's more out of curiosity. When you have the discussion on 8.4 for the ALS EMS, I'm curious about the program and what it's going to provide for us. And even a little bit of technical, like which version of LifePak 15 are they looking at? And will we be working with the Rockwall EMS, and how does that interface? That's it for that. Now, moving off topic, the renewal of the waste and recycle collection contract. I assume you might go for bids, or you might not, I'm not sure. But if you do, they offer a lot of services, and we don't get all those services. One of them is door-side collection for hazardous waste. That's probably kind of expensive if it's whenever you call. But I noticed we're on one hazardous waste event per year, and maybe when you're contracting, you can get maybe just another one. I'm thinking in the 5 years since we originally had that contract, maybe there's a lot more population now. More people could use it. I don't know how the turnout's been before, but once a year is really tough. That's it.
Thank you, David. All right. We will, first off, before we get into the public hearings, folks, the second public hearing that's on the request by Oak National Development, we're holding the public hearing to hear the public's input on that, but we will not be making any kind of decisions on that because we have not received any information back from P&D on that one. But based on the fact we had already posted for the public hearing, we go ahead and have a public hearing and listen to citizens' comments on that. You good, or do you want to talk?
I just came in, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're about done with citizens' comments, but if you needed to say something.
I just let my comment stand on the City Hall project.
Okay.
I'll throw it up there for tomorrow.
Well, we're fixing to do those public hearings if you want to wait till that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, the time is 6:48. I'll open the public hearing on 6.1, which is to consider an application. Consider an application requesting a zoning district change from AG Agricultural Zoning District that provides a lot size of 2.5 acres to a planned development district, Ridge Point Estates, for the development of 83 single-family resident lots with a minimum lot size of 1 acre of land. Property location is 99.544 acres of land, located generally across 550 from the Clinton Chisholm City Hall, which is located at 1371 West FM 550. It's Rockwall CAD property ID 10767. So I'll open the public hearing on that one. And folks, that is directly across the street from the driveway, and they're talking about putting 1 acre homes in there. So, public hearing's open for it. Do we have anybody that has any comments, positive, negative, indifferent, go ahead, David. Just remember, when we do the public hearing, still name and address when you, and if you'll turn the mic on for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
David Black at 1419 Sienna Lane. It was gratifying to see that the staff approval included it meets the comprehensive plan. I like that. I noticed there's a similarity between Ridge Point Estates, and then if you go all the way that way to Pullen Road, there's Heritage/Altura. That's 75 lots. And the commonality is the landowners, parcels have all been purchased by the one developer. Also, they have a common road name. And I think at the last meeting at the Planning and Zoning, question came up about Settlement Road, and it goes off this way, off of 550. And I think the plan was to connect to the Settlement Road in the existing development on Pullen Road, so there'd be a straight line from connecting Pullen to 550. It's within the city limits. City is responsible for the road, and I'm just thinking that there could be a fair amount of traffic on that. Not that it has to be some giant road, but when the city and the planning commission look at it, if it's a good wide one, because they have houses along that road, and it's a straight shot, probably a lot of people are going to be wanting to zip down to connect the two, because Trilogy is going to be over there, and there'll be a lot of people there coming either 550 or Pullen, although Pullen Road is extremely small. I hope there's a plan to do something about making it bigger to handle traffic. So anyway, so I think Settlement Lane should be, if it stays as a two-lane, a good full-size two-lane and room for parking for these residencies. Other than that, I didn't have any other comment.
Thank you, David. Any other comments for public hearing on 6.1? Going once? Going here twice?
I'd like you not to close the public hearing until we get the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. They had a public hearing, but they did not make a recommendation to the council. And so if you'll leave the public hearing open until
Such time as we have.
well, let's be specific. Let's say the first council meeting in August? No? So, what day do we need?
Then I will leave the public hearing open until the first meeting in September.
Perfect. That'll be,
That way we've
that's
got plenty
perfect.
of time in case there's an issue with them not being on there exactly.
Perfect.
I think we're good there. I actually feel good, I think it's really stuff at C, so we're not going to have a public hearing until we get a final report for P and Z. So I think we're going to be okay in that regard if we hold the public hearing till whatever date it is. Have an agenda items is very important, like first agenda. I would have an agenda item where we give the report from P and Z, final report from C and Z, whatever. And then the next item is a continuation of
the public hearing.
Yeah, I think that will most likely satisfy the statute. That'll save the cost and the hassle of renoticing the public hearing and all that. I'm slightly uncomfortable with that, but I still think, if it has that, we're still having a public hearing, it's still going on, and we've got the report. And the main thing is notice, I think is what the law will do. And so the fact we still have a public hearing after we've got the report, I think we're going to satisfy that.
Hang on. Ms. Green, can you let us know that, did the Ridge Development, did they go to P and Z this past meeting, or was that removed from that agenda item?
They only held their public hearing. They have elected to not, they're gonna have their public hearing at one meeting and won't take action until the next meeting, which is a month.
Is it for both items that were on the P and Z, specifically Ridgemont and the Oak properties?
That's correct.
Okay, so did Ridge Development, did they produce or present any items to P and Z?
No.
Mr. Holla, is that any concern that we need to be aware of about that? If they did not present anything to P and Z?
I mean, well, not really, because, I mean, now, can we do a final report from PZ or final report? No, so, I mean, it'd be concerning from that standpoint, but, you know, it's an easy answer. So we don't have to do the final report, and we have final report. So, that makes
I just want to make sure that it's been said. Okay.
Well, then 6-1 is open until the first meeting in September.
Well, that would be, I'm fine continuing to meet up whatever that date is.
Yeah. What's the first date?
Be September the 12th.
Okay, then we will keep this public hearing open until city council meeting on September 12th, 2023. All right, we'll move on to 6.2, public hearing, we receive public comment. Public comment regarding a request by Oak National Development LLC to change the existing planned development district on approximately 148.25 acres of land from the current zoning district classification of planned development district Triple Creek to a new planned development district, Legacy Park, containing 335 single-family residential lots in a city park. The Rockwall County Appraisal District property identification numbers are 11447 and 11438. It is 6:56. Public hearing's open on that one. Any comments? If there's no comments, that one will stay open as well,
Yes, sir.
because we did not get a report back from P&Z on that one, so that one will stay open as well until September 12th, 2023.
And Mayor, let me add one thing.
Yes, sir.
Oak National said that they are reconsidering their application
Okay.
during this hiatus between public hearings.
Okay.
And I fully expect a different staff report for Planning and Zoning Commission prior to your report from them.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If I might look at, somebody may want to visit with our P and Z and kind of advise them. I believe it's 211B. It talks about public hearings, you have to have a 10-day notice for P and Z, and then a 15-day notice for public hearing for council. The way I understand what we do is, and it's smart, it's good, it's cost effective, we will have a one-page notice with, hey, this hearing is going to be at this date, this time, I'm going to hold from P and Z. This public hearing will be this day, this time, I'm going to hold for the city council meeting. Okay? And we will fast forward, post the papers, I understand it, we will also fold it up and mail it out to all the property owners. So we're letting everybody know at the get-go, and then the public hearing for P and Z comes after. So these hearings are set a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior to P and Z ever getting. If someone could let P and Z know, we spent time and money on these things, and hey, they have a right to not make a report at any time or any more information. But maybe this is an information purpose to let them know, by the way, the council can't have a public hearing until you give them the final report. So P and Z, if you need more time, that's fine, maybe consider having a special meeting prior to the city's council meeting so they can act on it, and we won't have to keep continuing public hearings, which I think are okay, and I'm super comfortable with. And we don't have to take the other route, is spend a bunch of time and money doing those things. So it might be a good idea to say, hey, P&Z, just to let you know.
Conrad, can you take care of that with P&Z, please? All right. So that one is continued until, or open until September 12th, 2023. Moving on to consent agenda, which is items 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, and 7.9. I'll entertain a motion to approve those unless a member of council has any one of those that they want to remove off there for discussion.
I motion to approve the consent agenda for 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, and 7.9.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. If there's not any discussion on it, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Show that unanimous. All right, moving on to 8.1. Consider approval of preliminary plat for a little over 16 acres of land for the development of a 25-lot residential subdivision with 9 open space / HOA lots as submitted by Colton Smith on behalf of Telus Mann property owners. Mike, what do we have?
Your recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission is approval subject to compliance with the Kaufman County Thoroughfare Plan as required by our interlocal agreement with Kaufman County. Just information for the council. We have requested that the commissioners consider using our thoroughfare plan in the ETJ in Kaufman County. And the Commissioners Court is considering that, but they have not yet made a decision. So the recommendation from our P&Z is to have the Telus Mann, it's called Meraki, this preliminary plat comply with the ILA and the Kaufman County thoroughfare plan, which would require a widening of the roadway from 60 feet, which is our minimum local street standard, to 80 feet. And I think that the Telus Mann folks are here to answer any questions that you might have, but I think they're fully ready to agree with whatever the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended.
Okay. Do we have questions for anybody with the project? Council? Okay. I don't think we have any questions, so I'll entertain a motion on that one.
Just to be clear, I apologize, I do have a question. From the last meeting that we had, we were waiting for Kaufman County to approve the thoroughfare plan, and we were waiting to hear if they did that, or we can go with our thoroughfare plan. Is that correct?
That's what we asked for, and the response I've gotten from the planning department in Kaufman County is that they have provided our request to the Commissioners Court, but the Commissioners Court has not yet taken action on it. It'll be, if they say yes, then it'll be amendment to our interlocal agreement to use our thoroughfare plan, but they have not yet done that. And before this comes back to you as a final plat, I'm hoping that we'll have a decision, one way or the other, that I can report to you before that.
Okay.
So it would be a motion to approve based on those conditions.
Okay, so making the motion for the current status right now with the condition for the change that we're requesting.
What I'd like you to do today, Mayor Pro Tem, is make a motion to follow the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, because we're waiting for them. I just want to hear exactly what date, or is that, or are we talking about the county?
We don't know when they're going to decide. So that's,
Okay.
when and if that happens, I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
All right. All right, well, so I will make a motion for approval with the conditions based on the planning and zoning recommendation for the compliance with the Kaufman County Thoroughfare Plan for Mann Road. Yes.
I'll
All
second.
right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. So just to be clear on this, is once Kaufman County okays the interlocal agreement and this comes back to us at 80 feet versus 60 feet, is this just automatically complete and it doesn't have to come back to us as city council again? Is it going to be coming back to us again?
Won't have to be amended if Kaufman County says yes. You will have to see the interlocal agreement for that to be effective.
Okay.
The absence of any of that happens, Kaufman motion does is requires them to comply with the legal agreement, which requires a Kaufman County field test on that portion of our EPJ that's in the Kaufman.
Okay.
A lot more of our EPJ is Kaufman County.
Yeah. Does it impede any work that TELUS might be doing at this time?
Any other question? If not, you want a roll call vote? I know I've been doing that. Okay. Then, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Show that unanimous. I like that. I can see you all the way at the end. I know, I get it. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but, it is kind of hard to look, never mind. All right, moving on to 8.2, discussion and action for approval of an architectural RFP for Heritage Center to produce concept ideas to consider. The goal is to have the architect present ideas so that the citizens will be able to weigh in on what they would like to see. And I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem. Let you explain a little bit more what we're thinking here.
So if you go to the comprehensive plan, which is page 38, there's a section that's predominantly blue, and that is the area considered as Heritage Center. And one of the things that I've asked staff and I've asked previous council members, what was the desired intent when they were going through the comprehensive process, if there was any ideas what we plan to do with the 13 acres or the land around the city hall in general. And there's been ideas thrown, but at the end of the day, we don't have any actual visuals. And I believe that this will be helpful to kind of hone in on what the public would be interested in seeing. And I want to suggest to get an actual architect to kind of give us some ideas. Because one of the things that keeps on happening is that we have developers, they may ask us, well, what does the city really want? I mean, what kind of things that you want to see here? And this is the kind of opportunity that we can present. It's like, this is what the citizens have contributed on and given us input. And these are like visual aids a little bit to be helpful when we're discussing about meeting our community needs, So I hope that kind of makes sense where we're going for visuals, ideas, and designs of how we can be able to utilize the space out here. And eventually, I would like to suggest to have a time where citizens can come in and be able to review and say, I really like this, or maybe they don't express they may dislike something, and we can be able to take that input and then move forward to the next level as far as like what we will say, like, this is our official plan. This is like an idea that we want to shoot for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about doing something like this?
Brian, what do you think? It's using a professional service to kind of set up what represents us as a city.
So we're asking to get input from the citizens to give to an architect to draw up what their input is what I'm kind of understanding, or did I not catch that?
We can do it either way, but at some point we need to do kind of like a request for a proposal for an architect to do the actual concept designs, and then kind of have like a time where citizens can be able to have input on whatever designs they come up with.
Okay, so it's the opposite way. The architect would come up with some designs. We would show it to the city and allow them to input. We like A, B, C, or D, or whatever.
Right, we can do it
Okay.
that way, or we can have it to where we can get input from citizens and then give that information to the architect.
I think a mixture of both. I mean, that way they feel like, I mean, one thing I have fall back on all the time, and even the mayor's welcome on the website is, if it's the small town feel and we want to give the people, I think almost even piggybacking on Councilwoman Hoffman's idea of the picture, when the citizens feel like they have some input, I think it just looks better. Also, I think it starts to show that we are trying to be more transparent in welcoming their input. So I think a mixture of both. Hey, here's what we're doing, and if we get nothing, then it is an A, B, C, D option. option, but, I mean, I think it's a great idea regardless of which way it goes, honestly. I mean,
And I don't want to like say like, okay, it's going to be like a public library, amphitheater. I mean, I don't want to say, define exactly what it is. I just want to be able to be open and say, hey, look, these are some options that we can consider that maybe we haven't even thought about, that architects normally deal with whenever they're doing design work, and being able to just mainly just utilize a space that, that's something we can be proud of and say, this is my hometown.
No, I like it. I think including the people is what it's all about, so I like it.
Okay.
Good
Lloyd,
job.
what do you think?
Yes.
You're such a man of a lot of
Yes.
words,
Jennifer?
I'm totally in favor. I'm a visual person, being able to see something rather than just try to listen to somebody's idea and imagine it in my head. To be able to see what the potential could be, I'm all in favor.
Dan?
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was a little bit, didn't quite understand why we would have an architect come in and propose what the people want, but he really didn't have a lot of information, it seemed like, in hand to understand. I mean, I went to the comp plan and looked at the pages as well, covering heritage. It's very thin, and so I didn't really glean a whole lot from that, other than some minimal direction. I would suggest, as Brian stole my thunder, but since I'm down here at this end, and kind of turn it around. I mean, kind of turn it around. Let's get the input from the folks first. I mean, we all have a concept of what we want here, but let's define it a little bit more so, get input from the people, and then that's going to make it a lot easier for the architect
Well,
to
here's
take that
what
information and do
I'll,
it.
here's what I'll suggest, because I agree with y'all. We need input as well as an architect that can take the ideas and put it to a visual. What this is on the table is us putting out an RFP to have an architect to be able to take that information. We can always schedule the time for everybody to give us the ideas to give them, but this is to put an RFP out to find a firm that can do that for us. We're not taking away saying
I
they're going to develop it, then
We
people
can do
can
both at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And there could be an entire process that they
Yep.
like to do. It could be some sort of online forum that they would like to produce. And again, I don't know what the time frame. Mike, you might want to be able to contribute. Like, what's the time frame that do you think that an architect usually would like to have, to be able to produce? I mean, is it like 3 months, 6 months to design like concept ideas?
I'd say because this is a very important effort, I would budget no less than 4 months, but optimally 6 months. That gives whoever you select the opportunity to lay out the planning process, not only for that person to get your thoughts from the council and the planning and zoning commissions and anybody else that's interested, but the citizens' input, and then convert those things into something that we can see, like Ms. Hoffman has talked about, something visual, because I think we're going to need that. I want to remind the council that this Heritage Center designation covers a lot more than our 15 acres. And right now, we've got, out of our 15 acres, we've got five of our acres has been used. Fire department, detention pond, city hall. So everything that we've got left is behind City Hall here. And are we going to focus mainly on that? Are we going to give them some latitude to look at the broader area, which is
Well,
the Heritage Center?
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that, and I'm just going to say it, like, it is a big blue box area here, and I want to just kind of, say, hey, let's talk about these ideas, because who knows, maybe a developer that's next door, it catches wind about this idea or whatever ideas that comes up, and they would want to be a part of that, partner up with the city on that, and not develop homes, or I don't know. All I'm saying is that I think that let's give them the opportunity to design that entire space. Not that I'm saying that we're going to confirm, like, okay, we're going to do all these things, but at least that let's take the opportunity and the advantage of an architect to be able to utilize that entire space. I mean, what are your thoughts about that? would y'all be open to not just the 13 acres around here and just this entire, I don't know if you can see the blue area, but basically this entire space?
I think once we start seeing plans, that we're better able to know whether or not it's bigger than just 13 acres. Once we get input and an architect to take all those ideas and put it together, then we know what it's gonna really require at that point.
So I would say like when.
So I say be open about it.
Open about it, not necessarily saying like it's only going to be around the city hall. It could, just the heritage center area based on our future land use in a comprehensive plan. I mean, we can make details about that. Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds perfect. In fact, what you're discussing is a more detailed element of our comprehensive plan.
Right.
So take what we've got and amplify it. We deal with these kind of extraordinary parts of cities all the time with separate plans, which are, you've got the comprehensive plan, you got the future land use map, and then you got a specific plan that really gives a whole lot more detail. And I think the chief just whispered in my ear, it's a roadmap.
A roadmap, yeah.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I think that's really, you're right on target.
And we're supposed to be revisiting the comprehensive plan over time anyway and I think this will be, you know, I guess going along with what we are tasked to do as our action items, so.
All right.
Mayor, going from the 30,000, what we've been talking about, and to the administrative companies. One, we can seek out an architect and give them an overview of the thought right now, tonight, and then have that architect show up at the city council. During that time, and prior to that time, we can announce it website, Facebook, excited about it, ask them to provide input on their thoughts based on direct language from our company, and invite them to come to the meeting with the architects. The architect will want to have feedback from all of you, but also if we have, we can comment, hearing, whatever we can have, as an addition.
And that's fine and dandy, but we got to have an RFP to get an architect first.
And then we have, in our current year's budget, this is not budgeted in our current year's budget. But we do have money budgeted in our non-department contingency fund. We have around $20,000. I'm not sure if there is a dollar value or a not to receive or lots of money in unrestricted fund balance. We could pull out over time. We're just, I need to know where you're thinking, not to
Well-
receive,
First off, we got to be able to put an RFP together to see what architects are willing to even look at it. Once we do that, we can kind of look as to see where we need to allocate that money from within the city's funds. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure to say RFQ.
That's
everyone.
fine. That's fine. Okay.
So it's who we are, what we do, why we should choose this. That's what I want to do. We really do believe our statutes very clearly, what we agree on. Are they qualified and why is it fair?
Okay.
They don't really know what to do. We have to vote for it. May want, we're going to be this 30,000. And numerically, this is what we want. They're going to want specific. Right, but what we're doing is we lease the project, which is what we want done. So we're requesting them to submit their qualification fee bodies, who is qualified, you need to qualify to do this project. So submit your response to that and tell us how you're qualified, why you're qualified, where you're qualified.
Okay, so if I did make a motion, can I, because obviously the RFQ would have to be a little bit lengthy when we post it online. So I just want to make it simple to where we're requesting for the Heritage Center. Is that sufficient enough for you?
Yeah, you do not have to get every single detail. It's, the RFQ will be much longer, have more detail, and that's fine. So you don't say, well, this new part of Heritage Trail will include all this.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to make a motion to approve for an architect RFQ for Heritage Center to produce concept ideas to consider.
All right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Wait, hold on. So it's my understanding that the way you explained it is that they're not providing concept ideas, right? We're just choosing them to do it. Is that what I'm, right?
See.
Okay. Okay.
Hopefully, one, two, or three things that ABC go whatever and say, all right, this is what we heard you say, this is what we have created.
And this is not for the entire city. This has to be a specific area that we're, that we're asking for. Does that make sense?
What we're doing now is saying, this is the project. Then once we've got someone in my architect, legally qualified at very reasonable price to do that project, then the details is like, they've already got the concept. Then they're gonna come in and they already know what they're doing. But then the how to do it, that, what I understand correctly, your question is, then once we know who's gonna do it and then know what they're doing, the actual how of it, is where they're gonna come in with some people who can do this, do that. They already know, you can't retain them until they know what project they're doing. That project will be new, but the actual how of that will be different. The actual design of that is still gonna be up to them professionals, but we're looking at it.
Okay. That does. Thank you.
Kind of right.
All right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a second. Is there any more discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
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 Show that unanimous. Excuse me. Moving on to 8.3, receive update on the status of section 13.255 petition to be filed with the PUC to take over RCH Water Supply, Inc., water system and all matters related there.
The update is essentially we're still in the process. It's not something as simple as like, signing your name to something. And we have to go through a bunch of exhibits and to produce information for the Public Utility Commission. So we're still in that process. And once we get to the complete, when it's completed, we'll make that announcement at that point. We do notifications. So we've already done all that. I think it was like over a week ago. That has been already done, so that's it.
And folks, just understand, we are citizens as well as being the city council. We're just as frustrated as any other customer out there. We have to follow processes, and they're just as slow. City government doesn't have the ability to make them speed up just because we're the city government any more than they would speed up for you as an individual citizen. And I go back to things I see in my work life. This isn't like watching a TV show where they solve it in an hour. It's a lengthy process, and I don't like the fact that it takes that long any more than you do. I wish we could have fixed this a long time ago. I wish it would have never came about that this was a problem for all of us. But it is, and we're doing the best we can to fix it as quickly as we can. We just want you to understand that and have faith in us. We're doing the right thing for everyone, whether they're inside the city limits or they're in the unincorporated or the ETJ portion. If they're an RCH customer, we plan on taking care of everybody equally. and fairly. And I want everybody to understand that. There's a lot of bad mouthing out there all the way around, whether it's towards us, whether it's towards RCH, whether it's towards anybody else. I give you my word, we're going to be fair to everyone. So I just want people to understand that. We're not trying to pull a fast one. We're trying to be fair for everybody. All right. Let me get to the next one. 8.4, discussion and action regarding request for approval to use public safety capital funds in the amount of $69,711.52 for the purchase of 2 Life Pack 15s. Purchase will allow us to stay on schedule for implementing new ALS EMS program. Chief Simmons?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's follow-up conversation we had during the budget workshop, some items that we were looking to budget. And one of the items we said that if we can try and figure out a way to go ahead and get these purchased sooner so they can go into play sooner in regards to the Life Pack 15s, we would like to do that. So to keep us on track, as some of you already know, January is a target date that we will be upgrading, improving our first responder organization, advanced life support response. And part of that is going to include having these life packs now in play. I brought my resident expert, Scott Martinez, 16-year paramedic, one of our firefighters here, that can kind of speak to you shortly in regards to the life packs and what they'll do for us. Before we get to that, we have 4 AEDs. Everybody understands AEDs are everywhere, right? So part of this process, we would like to take at least 1, if not 2 of those AEDs, bring them to City Hall, buy the wall mount kits, have them on the wall, and then we would host an AED class for obviously staff, council members, and any citizens who would like to come up. So now City Hall would now have these 2 new defibrillators installed. So we're just kind of recycling some equipment back that we bought just a few years ago. These devices will replace those AEDs and then now allow us to do a lot more. So Scott, if you take just a minute or 2, just to explain to them.
Go up there and push, well, it's on, so
It's on.
it's good. What's actually the difference between our AEDs and these life packs?
Okay, so the AEDs, they're there if somebody has a heart attack, you attach them, right? And what they're going to do, if the person needs a shock, there's certain heart rhythms that you can shock, certain heart rhythms that you cannot shock. The AEDs will determine that, and they'll apply shock if needed, but that's all they do, right? They're not going to tell you anything about the person's heart rhythm and their arrhythmia, if they're an AFib or anything like that, right? With these new Life Pack 15s, right, there will be the version 4, which will be able to last us for 10 years, so that'll save us a lot of money. A new Life Pack costs approximately $75,000. I think they're going up to 80 or 85,000 here pretty soon in the next 2 years or so. Right, so it's a considerable savings. The Life Packs, what they do, they're able to let us see the person's heart rhythm, little squiggly lines that we all see on TV, right?
Yeah.
So we're able to determine if someone's having a heart attack, right? We're able to see if they're in a normal rhythm or an arrhythmia, okay? And then at that point, we can determine, all right, what's going on with the patient, suggest transfer to a hospital or whatever, or, let them know, hey, you're okay, in case of like an anxiety attack or something like that. So
let me ask you a
Yes, sir.
question, because I think I know exactly what we're talking about now. Is that the pack, when we've run on calls with y'all, that you bring in there, that, it's basically like,
It's about-
looks like
it's a
a
little-
gym bag, but it's
Yes,
got
sir.
the monitor?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
And
So the Life Packs are kind of gray. They're about yay big,
Yeah.
right? So what they also do, so they are also an AED, right? So with the Life Pack 15, we're able to not only synchronize cardiovert, which basically is slow the person's heart rhythm down. We can defibrillate, right, if they're in VFib, right? They're starting to have a heart attack, right before they die. We can shock them out of that.
Right.
Also able to pace somebody who has a slow heart rate. So something below 60, it depends on the protocols of the doctors, but typically it's below 60, right? We try to give medications, and it depends on what their blood pressure is. Are they stable or unstable type thing? But we're able to kind of get the person back to a normal rhythm, hopefully, is what we're trying to do. And then we're able to monitor them en route to the hospital if we have an ambulance. And in our case, we're able to get there and provide the best care for our citizens and everything, because typically we get to a call 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 minutes before Rockwall EMS. And if we can get a good baseline of what's going on right then and there, because sometimes the pain comes and pain goes, right? Things can kind of fix themselves, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but can kind of fix themselves and give somebody a false sense that they're doing okay. If we can get there and get a good baseline, right? Because we also can get blood pressures, pulse oximetry, we can check their CO levels and everything. It's a wonderful machine, right? So it gives you an opportunity to save someone's life, or at least to get them to the hospital to get a higher level of care and be able to explain to them what's going on, right? It gives a printout, right? We can show them, hey, here's your heart rhythm. And I always try to do, right, is explain what we're looking at to the patient to help put them at ease and everything.
Scott, one of the other things, Mayor, that this new Life Pack is going to be great working with our EMS partners, Rockwall County EMS, because now when we're on scene, we're able to Bluetooth our devices together.
Okay.
And so we would be able to transfer our information that we had prior to their arrival when we're transferring patient care. We can transfer that information to them and they don't lose it. So all the information we capture goes right into their hands. So once we get them in the back of the box and we start providing whatever aid they need, there's not having to wait or they've got all this information to really plan out the treatment needed. So it's a huge benefit.
You can actually transfer that data by Bluetooth to the hospital.
Right.
And everything.
So the 69, basically $70,000, that's for 2 of them?
That's for 2 Life Packs with all the equipment and then 4 years worth of what I call bumper-to-bumper warranty on them. Batteries,
Does that include any required training or anything?
It does.
That's needed for y'all?
Correct.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay.
They'll come out and go over with the other guys. I've used the Life Pack for the past 15 years or whatever, so I'll be training the other firefighters as well and everything. So.
Sir?
They had to call, EMS had to call their supervisor in the afternoon.
Right.
So I'd already gone, I'd already listed.
Mm-hmm.
Brought it out, I'd already been listed 4 or 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So having here, when they get there, they got there before the ambulance.
Correct. I'm sold on having them because I've seen them in action when they're being used. I just want to make sure, so training and everything else, and you said the life of that equipment's about 10 years. And I understand technology's changing and things get faster, quicker, better, but about 10 years life out of them before we need to replace
They
them.
guarantee, so they're coming out with a new version in 2 years.
Mhm.
They have to update these things for 8 years after
Okay.
the new version comes
Yeah.
out.
That's where our
So
10-year
that's
life
where our
expectancy
10 years
comes
Okay.
and
Yeah.
everything, so.
And to follow up, unless you got some more questions of,
There was one, just to
Medic
make sure
Martinez.
it's clear, is that there was a deadline, right? Because once you go over that deadline, we skip this
if we
particular.
wait till October, and that's why in budget retreat, we kind of talked
Yeah.
about, this is one of those things that we can make happen.
Yeah.
It's going to save us time, because if we wait till October, we wouldn't receive our Life Packs till probably June or July. So now we've built our program to go ALS in January. Now it's pushed us back because this is a key component. We would have these right around the January timeframe, so it keeps us on par, even if we had to wait till February, because nowadays, the way things are.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
If we had to push it back to February, we're only losing a month, we're not pushing it off 6 months, so.
I just want to
That
make
was-
sure that it's said so that people can understand like why
Yes,
the
ma'am.
importance
And
of why
and
it's
then
now.
the funding aspect, we talked about it in the budget retreat as well. Under our Fire Capital Reserve Fund balances, we have currently sitting now $429,000. That was as of March. That number's actually gone up, obviously interest bearing, so it's actually got more in it, but I'm using the March number after talking to Ray. So that's where we would pull those funds from. We would pull that $70,000 from the capital reserve funds to be able to purchase this equipment.
Is 2 sufficient for us right now?
So we would run 2 now that would allow us to have 1 on the engine and 1 on the squad. With the current staffing model and with future staffing model, we'll be running those 2 pieces of equipment all the time. So if 1 is out on a call and that second call happens to come in, we will have the second one on the engine. So
Well,
2 would be.
The reason I'm asking, Chief, is I understand, and it's $70,000, $70,000.
Yes, sir.
But perfect world to give our citizens the level of service from a first responder
Yes, sir.
environment. how long is two of them gonna last us before we need a third one to help,
Good-
based on, call volume,
question.
those kind of things?
I think
And,
staffing model, because again, with running the two apparatus, I think it's going to last us many years to come. I think these will, the 10 years, we're going to be set if we have two of them for the next 10 years.
so we don't need to think about a year from now
No,
buying a
sir.
third one or a
Maybe
fourth
5
one?
years from now, I would come back to you as council and start
Right.
preparing for that replacement.
Okay.
So, maybe we get one and then we kind of offset.
Okay.
Because we do know the new ones now, single unit is about $80,000 for a
Yeah, the new
single
ones are
unit.
gonna be about 80.
And that was gonna be my
$90,000.
next question, is if
We're
we
getting a deal
project
right now.
maybe a year or two from now needing a third one to make sure we covered all our bases, would it be more beneficial to think about adding that to it now?
Scott, you're one of the resident medics
So-
here,
So
so.
for me, right, the Life Pack 15s are very reliable. But I like to cover bases, right? To me, it would be ideal to have a third one, to have a backup in case something happens. Now, with the protection plan, right, we got 12-month warranty on them, basically. They should give a loaner, so that shouldn't be an issue. However, you never know what they have, depending on, right, technology breaks down. If something goes wrong, if there's a glitch in the whole system or
Right.
whatever, something could go wrong. It'd be great to have a backup. That's my.
Well, and I get the backup side. I guess what I'm wanting to make sure of is, with the way the area is growing, because we are responsible for Fire District 22, which goes outside the city limits and very far into the ETJ, would we need that third one in case our resources are spread in three
If we
different
wanted to get the most bang for our buck, knowing what the cost will be come October timeframe, and with the pricing that we can get them at now, obviously at 70,000 for two versus 80,000 for one, obviously having that third one is, as Martina said, is even if that repair, if one goes down, then we know we've got one in the EMS room that boom, it comes out. And it's basically the station unit that where if something was to happen.
How much would that figure change to have a third? I mean, you just basically cut that in half.
Divide that number
About 21, based on this price, if we cut that in half for just the unit for two units is 43,329, but then you have the equipment, the batteries,
Correct.
the charging, the cases, the warranty. So.
But I mean, the reason I'm asking is,
21.
would that give us kind of a ballpark if we just cut basically 70,000? So if we just added 35,000
That would give us-
to that would give you
That would give us
three of
plenty
them.
to buy three.
Yeah,
Based on what I'm looking, yes, so we're looking at the pricing right now, just doing the fire chief's math, which is not the best.
because
That-
if you
that would
have
cover
the
us
funds
plenty.
in your fire, your
replacement
fire
funds.
funds,
We would be ecstatic to know that we could come in here and get that third one and have that as, in the station as that backup. That med call happens across here. Hopefully, nobody ever falls out at a council meeting. But they grab the one out of the front room there where it'd be stored and they would carry it across the street. It would be a walk-in unit.
right?
But for the price, again, the price, where we get them now.
And that's my other concern. I know things are going up at a dramatic rate, whether it's groceries, cars, whatever. And, naturally, life safety stuff's going up too.
Yes, sir.
you know?
Oh, yes.
And I'd rather not have to spend an inflated cost 6
Yeah,
months from
we
now
put
or 2
30
years
on.
from now. So I'll leave that up to council's decision, but I think the purchase of two of them is a no-brainer. I just think we ought to consider the possibility at this pricing to get that third one.
Will the stock be there if we did motion for the third?
Ma'am?
Would they have
Would they
a third
have-
one available?
I
if we-
think the last time we talked to them, there was about 10.
There's about eight the
Eight
last time I
left, so
spoke to
we
him,
were
yeah,
getting in
so-
now. Had Scott contact
I
our
just texted the
provider.
guy and asked if he has a third one available.
And so we would.
And if we bought three of them, maybe, hey, can we get just a little bit better deal?
They're, the warranty and stuff, they're
Yeah.
giving us a good price, in
I
my
know.
opinion, based, and Scott's,
Yeah.
16 years of doing this too, with the pricing we're getting now, is we have to take advantage of it and get them now and not lose it, especially with knowing they're going to roughly $80,000 a piece.
I know, that's what scares me.
I just got heard back from him. He said we can get the third one for the same price as the other two. So
Okay,
we
so
would
what was your fireman math?
Roughly
Rough-
104.
Basically 104,000
Okay,
if we add the third unit.
wait.
So,
That's including the 4-year warranty on that one too, based on the math I just did here.
everything would have the same warranties, capabilities, everything.
Identical, yes, sir.
So I guess my question, and I'll go to each one of you, Brian, do you agree that if we have the money to get the third one, go ahead? Based on what they're telling me, the cost of one alone is going to be more than what the cost of two is here in a few months?
Correct. I did go sit with the fire department and rode with them on one call, and then I was here for the night. The fire department was recognized for the life-saving measures there. I'm 100% in agreement with your saying, Mayor. If we can get 3 at this cost and one sits in the firehouse and the other 2 are ready to go, kind of a no-brainer. Also, I mean, I think you can't put a dollar amount on someone's life. So
No,
I'm gonna say 3 all day.
Floyd, you good with that?
Yes, sir.
Adrian?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Absolutely.
Daniel?
Yeah, I'm good. I actually practice this kind of thing in my personal life. If there's a good deal there, I'm going to get it for future use, and so it really aligns with me.
Because when he said what struck me and why I kept asking those questions was, if we're getting 2 for 70,000, but here in a few months, one's going to cost 85.
Yeah.
I want to grab an extra one or an extra 2 before the price goes through the roof.
Yeah, it's always
Well, I can
interesting.
promise you, your troops and the citizens will appreciate knowing that
Yes,
we have this
absolutely.
equipment readily available
Okay.
to be
Well,
able to
then,
put
guys, I'll
put into
entertain a
service.
motion.
I just have one question about
Yeah, go ahead.
where the money's coming from again, Chief.
Yes,
Could
sir.
you just give me a little bit of a description?
So based on what was set up years ago at councils, we have what you call, you saw in your budget book there, I don't remember the page number, but under your utility fund balance, cash balances, and then below that, you show your fire capital reserve fund balance. As of March of 2023, it was $429,396,000. In February, it was $427,820. So obviously, interest has caused that number to go up. So
That's the residual from the fire department when it was built.
I think that was the estimation. That's going to
It was
be.
about 400,000 left over after
Yes, sir.
everything was completed. I believe
And
you're
I-
correct.
It's going to be.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
positive that was the case.
Sir.
Okay, yeah, this is money well worth spending.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion. It'll just be revised from 2 to 3 at whatever that is.
Well, we have amount, so I make a motion to approve for the use of public safety capital funds in the amount of $104,567.28 for purchase of 3 Life Pack 15s.
I had one thing I wanted to throw out there, but couldn't get needed a red line, and there was too many mics on. So I apologize for looking like a clown down here in the circus. The money, I like where Dan was going with this. Councilman Tucker, I apologize. The money I spoke on was coming from the fire budget. Is there any way on some of that COVID money could be used for this, being that it is for the city whole use? Or is that a separate entity in itself and leave the fire budget kind of where it's at? And I'm just asking because I don't know how that works. Or maybe use partial funds?
The budget for the fire stuff, that's what we're using. The COVID monies, we're kind of leaning towards, using it for roads and those utilities kind of stuff right now. Does that make sense? Because we already have a budget for.
I wasn't privy to that, so that's why I was asking. If I would have known, I probably wouldn't have asked. But.
So overall for the COVID, the ARPA funds is about $800,000 if I recall. So the intent is to use all of that money for designated projects, and you have those already kind of set up.
It's going to be between utilities, because these are like,
All those, and it comes to about, it's going to,
for the immediate needs. But again, it's council, we have to decide on that. But it's leaning towards like utilities and road related projects. But we have a fire department related bucket right now where this is where we can be able to get funds from.
understood.
exceed because the 104, whether you're.
Yes, it's off.
It could go off, so say not to exceed 110. And they'll only spend what it costs. So that's 104.
In case any of our math is off by a dollar or
Right,
two.
so-
I understand and I agree with you, so I would revise the motion to say.
Okay, well, I amend the motion to go,
Well, question is for the fire chief real quick. Knowing this is coming out of your fire budget and you'd only wanted, you put in for 2, is 3 gonna still be good for you? Or are we outstepping what you're needing for your budget as well on other items?
So this is coming, so budget is separate, what our 23-24 budget will be. This is not affecting any of those
So,
funds.
I just wanted to make sure that you're not gonna be affected if we did add a 3rd one.
We're just taking
Okay.
that reserve fund that you as council over the years, as the city makes money, they put X amount of dollars into the capital reserve funds. This particular one is fire. We're just using those as a.
I just wanted to make sure with our conversations that we've had that, I'm trying to look out for that interest, so I just wanted to make sure you weren't gonna be affected on anything negative.
No,
Because I do agree with the mayor, I think 3 is no-brainer.
And we appreciate it.
You need to understand how the fire department is funded. It's 1.4 million a month. So, yes, there is a unrestricted fund balance, fire reserve fund, you can use for one-time purchases or other. But you also need to understand that by spending that money, you're subsidizing the fire department. And it's no different than having police, fire, public safety, EMSs, et cetera. Your answer is yes and no. And you say it's just kind of a restricted fund, but what's that not?
Let her amend her motion.
I would like to amend my motion, amend the motion to request for approval to use public safety capital funds in the amount of not to exceed 110,000 for purchase of 3 Life Packs 15s.
All right, I've got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Show that unanimous. All right, move on to 8.5, discussion and action regarding the request for approval. The request for approval of the application of Aaron Parker for a preliminary plat for a 1.5 acre tract of land to create a building site. Rockwall County requires a minimum lot size of 1.5 acres of land for an on-site sanitary sewer facility. Is that basically a septic system? Okay. Because in this day and age, when you say on-site sanitary sewer facility, people are thinking a big project. No, that's not what this is. It's septic. Okay. All right. Mike?
This is a 1.5 acre plat out of an 8.5 acre tract. The remainder is 6.5 acres, so the remainder needs not be platted, because once you have more than 5 acres, plats are not required. But this is in RETJ, Rockwall County, we have a similar ILA. I've already let the county know that this is in front of you. The Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended approval. You have 3 choices: approval, approval with conditions. There were no conditions recommended by the commission.
Okay.
Or disapproval. This application meets all the requirements of our subdivision regulations and the interlocal agreement, and the P&Z has recommended approval.
Okay. Nathan?
Mr. Coker, can you, the visuals in the packet, I can barely see what they are. Do you happen to have the actual oversized map? I apologize.
I'll go get a large one.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I did make a point
I
of
know.
putting it in the report that the full-size plans are available here at City Hall. And even the PDF that I put in my report, when you try to make it bigger, it gets blurry, so.
Yeah.
But she's going to get it.
Okay. Thank you.
While we're waiting for the city secretary to bring back the actual plat,
Yeah.
I want to remind the council that in our subdivision regulations, we have the opportunity for an applicant to request to combine the preliminary and the final plat into one trip through the process. And in this case, the applicant chose to go with a preliminary plat, and so you'll be seeing this again as a final plat when they get their culvert in and the kinds of things that they need to have done prior to recording.
But also, that being said, this is the paper.
Yes.
Preliminary plat process. Basically, when it's approved, you'll get final plats back. But this is.
Okay, so tell me about what's happening here at the beginning of this, the entryway line.
So this 45 feet is the access to the remaining portion of this 1.5 acre lot. And what I did was outline where we're dealing with the red, because it's got all the topo. And our code requires that they submit topos. So they did. And most of the time I color them up in the jacket. It's hard for us to read. So that's what this is. The 45 feet is sufficient for access.
So our subdivision regulations is saying, because it's in the ETJ, it's going with 45. Okay, and it currently, we're at that spec right now. This is where this is. Okay.
This all the way down here is part of the town. So all the remainder of this is 5.4 acres, is not the plat. It's still plat, so
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly. Are you okay with that? Okay. Okay.
And I don't know how to get the pictures into the report any
Yeah.
better than I got.
Okay. I'm good. I make a motion for approval, I'm sorry, I make a motion to approve with conditions.
No conditions, ma'am.
Why is it saying that on here? Okay, so I make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for 1.5 acre tract of land to create a building site. Yep.
Got a motion, and I have a second.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Show that unanimous. All right. Updates, discussion, and direction to staff. The only update or direction I have at this point is whoever we had come out here and look at all this stuff, I want them back out here and I want them to fix the problem we keep having with this, whether it's volume, whether it's not recording consistently. I want them back out here and I want it fixed properly. Or I want to find a different company.
If I could explain a little bit of what's going on. There seems to be, there's computers in here, there's computers here.
Mhm.
They quit working together.
Okay.
And so the gentleman that we had come out very honestly said, I can't address this, this is not my expertise. He's supposed to be getting back to me
Okay.
with an expert.
Well, here's what I'm going to say, and I understand that. If he was gracious enough to say he doesn't have the expertise, I understand, but it's not an acceptable excuse. If he can't, we need somebody in here that can. Whether he finds them, whether we find them, I want it fixed, I want it fixed right. It's not fair to our public, and it's not fair to us to have to go through what we go through to try and make this work to where people can hear this when they can't be here.
they can hear it tonight, but unfortunately they can't see it. So it did
Well,
confirm that. That's all we're getting
Sometimes
is
that's not a
sound.
bad thing to see me.
So just to
and only hear
let
me,
you know.
but if we offer the service, it has to work.
So is it the same
Period.
company? Did we ever?
I don't know.
Is it the same company that was,
No, they won't come out.
they won't come out? Okay.
All right, that's my only direction right now. I'll go around the room. Brian, did you have a meeting since the last time? What you got?
We did have a meeting. It was probably the fastest record meeting we've ever had, 16 minutes. There really wasn't much to discuss now that we've gone every other month. Literally, they just okayed a couple other things on the budget. Ambulance services running right now on average of 96%. Their threshold, I want to say, and Chief, you might be able to correct me, that they're supposed to be better than 94 or 92.
92 if I'm
92.
and
And they're running 96. They're like pushing 97% on response time, so they're killing it right now. No pun intended. But yeah, good meeting.
And can I follow just to keep council aware? So now we have an EMS committee that we're going to meet every other month. So it's all the fire chiefs, police chiefs are welcome, the sheriff's involved, where we're meeting with Medic Rescue every other month to discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and to make sure that we have great line of communication to continue to move forward. So I just wanted to follow up on that.
Okay.
Where are you going to be hosting your meetings? Is it
The EOC, Sheriff's Department at the
Sheriff's
EOC.
office.
Because there's so many people now. The first one we had, I think we had roughly maybe 12 to 15 people attend the first meeting last week. So we hope to see that grow.
So you'll take observers or you'll take others?
I mean, it's just a time to talk about, if we get into certain things, there may be a time where we got to be careful who hears what type thing, but we try not to divulge too much information when it comes to specific calls because of HIPAA. But I don't see, and I'll follow up.
I'd like to attend if possible.
I'll follow up and talk with Mitch and the guys and see. I know the sheriff sits in and we go off topic a little bit to have the sheriff's opportunity, because he's got so many meetings by law he has to have. Gives him an opportunity to kind of jump in there and fill in his stuff
Yeah,
too.
if that's
So
feasible, I'd like to
I'll
go.
follow up with you, yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Daniel, you're next because you have the roads consortium stuff.
Yeah, we had Road Consortium meet the other day, and just a little quick review. You know, there are 16 current projects with a sum total investment for the county road system of $2.65 billion. Now, the outer loop encompasses about $1 billion, so, and that's really long-term projects. So we still have well over about $1.6 billion actively being deployed now in various projects. The projects that affect us is Bass Pro to Doll Rock. That's $156 million. It's due to be completed in August of '24, so for those people that have to drive back and forth across the bridge there, they can look forward to at least an end date, hopefully. And they've been pretty good about getting things done. The next one up will be the Doll Rock to the State Highway 205, $334 million. That's slated to be completed by December of 2026. So we have a lot of road enjoyment to come in the next couple of years. What impacts us directly, or more directly perhaps, is the expansion of the South 205, $2.36 million, $236 million. It'll be ready to get started in 2024, and obviously we're seeing some work being done already on that, but they don't have really a date when they're going to actually start, so they haven't come up with that. 548 is another one that's going to impact us a little bit. That comes up from Windmill Farms up to the 205. That'll impact the Tullis Man property, the mud down there. They'll break ground, it looks like, in 2029, so that's really quite far off. And then the outer loop, this is the last comment. The outer loop project is well into the future, but we actually did have a meeting on that and back in June with a consultant, and that will definitely impact Tate Farms. As a matter of fact, we were looking at diagrams as how they were going to really pierce Tate Farms, where they're going to go right through the middle of it or try to go around it circumferentially a bit And so they're having conversations with them, High Point, Lake Estates, and then our friends D.R. Horton over at River Rock Trails.
Okay. Jennifer, you have anything?
Nothing new. I spent all day Thursday and Friday morning at Texas Municipal League training and learned a lot and became quite inspired and as far as leadership and met some interesting people and had a great time.
Very good. Adrian?
Yes, we met interesting people.
Interesting stories.
I too, as well, attended the TML conference, and there's a bunch of things that we're probably going to bring up to City Council because these are tools that we can be able to use for our municipality. We want to make sure that we're utilizing everything that's available for us. Things that I want to report to you guys on is that I did have a meeting with North Texas Municipal Water District, so that's going to be information that we will briefly share at the upcoming town hall meeting on August 1st. Also, on August 5th, there's going to be a Rockwall County strategic meeting, and I have been invited to attend that, and that's going to be kind of like encompassing it's going to be kind of talking about the comprehensive plan version, but at the county level. And so representatives from different municipalities, as well as other leadership groups from business to experienced people that have background in water utilities and other types of infrastructure. And obviously the commissioners will be involved in this. So I'm looking forward to being able to be a part of that and being able to start one of the things that they're going to be requesting us to get citizens to give input. So we're going to be creating a subcommittee here. So looking forward to doing that.
Very cool. Floyd, do you have anything? All right. Folks, I really don't have anything other than, and I don't do this very often, I'm going to ask everybody that's either listening or everybody that's here. I have my very first grandson. He's 4 years old. He's got some health issues, and tomorrow morning he goes in for exploratory, and I hate these words that doctors use, exploratory surgery to find out why he's bleeding from his intestines. So I just asked for prayer for my grandson. He's one of the joys of my life. He's my first grandson. I have 7 grandchildren. And I'm raising him up to be Grandpa's protection detail when I get older. So just prayer for him because he's a tough kid. His name is Easton Lee. And he's a tough kid, and he fights through his medical issues all the time. And you know, I know all of us that have kids and grandkids, we don't ever want to see kids that are sick and hurting. And he's a pretty tough kid about it. And he's excited I'm coming to stay the night tonight to go with him to his surgery. So when we get out of here, he's expecting me to be at his house. So just ask for prayer for my grandson is all I'm asking for. But it is now 8:03 p.m. and seeing that we've met everything on the agenda, tonight's meeting is adjourned.